free market capitalist system, what do you believe is the source of our nation's strength?
We're a nation made up of people who want to succeed in life. And the beauty of this nation is that it was set up for people to succeed. That's what makes us great. And the biggest concern I have, the reason I got into this race back in March, is because it's very clear that the solutions the government was using to try to repair our economy were going to make the prospects of people succeeding narrower and narrower, to the point where they won't be able to make their way in this country and expect any type of payback. I mean payback in the sense of success. So that's the greatest thing about this nation is that we were established. We've got a long history of not just free market principles, but we have an independent streak. We're Americans. Let me get by and do what I need to do to make my way in this world. And the last thing we need is government in the way, but right now it's standing squarely in front of us. Until we move to the side, we are not going to be able to move forward as a country and create the kind of country that we want for our children. That's simple.
Question. What do you believe the federal government's role is in the regulation and funding of abortion, gay marriage, and medical marijuana?
Marriage is medical marijuana. Marriage. These are issues at the state level to be taken up. I don't believe there's a significant federal role at all. On abortion, this is largely also a state's issue. People have a choice in this country right now. My parents, they chose to have 9 children. I didn't at the time appreciate it, but I'm the oldest of 9, but I do now. My wife and I, we chose life. We're bringing a little girl into this world, and my family also has been very active in adoption. There are rules, of course, on the books now. I mean, late-term abortions, public funding of abortions. These are things that should not be occurring. And the federal government, of course, should not be involved in public funding of abortion. That goes without saying. That's a major flaw in this health care bill, because I believe it'll lead to that.
Justin, will you strongly and publicly support the promotion of traditional family values? And how would you go about doing that?
I will strongly support all families and family values. I mean, this is a very broad statement, traditional family values, but yes, I mean, I believe in the strength of the family in America. And getting back to Tim's question, great American families, strong family foundation is one of the reasons why we have such a great country. Without a strong family, America breaks down. We've seen that happen in parts of the country. I don't want to see it happen across the board.
I just want to get to this one question. We're going to head back to the 80-question vetting questionnaire.
Sure.
And there was one question that you answered no to, and I guess we just would like an explanation.
Sure.
Do you commit to support legislation that would require the review and reapproval of any existing or new treaty or agreement entered into by the United States every 10 years, starting from the date of signage?
Right, and I said no to that because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, you talk about treaties and agreements, we're talking about literally thousands and thousands of agreements. Now, I would like to take a machete to a lot of these agreements, but I'm not sure that's practical. There's a lot of business to take care of in terms of getting this fiscal situation under control. I think maybe you ought to think about making that a longer timeline. There are some treaties that, frankly, have been in place for a very long time, over 100 years, that nullifying these things and then going back. Treaties that we take for granted, from a practical perspective, I think the Senate is better served spending its time working on other issues.
Yeah.
As long as it's quick.
I have just a couple of follow-ups, and in the interest of time, in the words of Bill O'Reilly, I'm going to ask you to keep it busy.
Okay.
Regarding what you just talked about, Law of the Sea Treaty, where the U.S. is giving over some of its sovereignty to the United Nations. Your feelings on that?
The Law of the Sea Treaty is a non-starter in my book. This is bad news, and I won't get into a whole treatise. We can talk offline on why this is bad news. From a national security perspective and economic perspective, there's no reason for this treaty, and I agree that there are a lot of things we ought to be doing to keep real close tabs on these treaties. That question I don't think is the right way to go about it, but we got a lot of bad treaties out there. And we've got a lot of bad treaties coming down the pike now that we need to make sure we're not going along. What was your second part?
Next, again, nice and short. What is the difference between an earmark and a bond?
Depends on if you're the state senator who's pushing the bond. In Hartford, there largely is no difference. Earmarks are synonymous with bonds in many cases. An earmark is a project that has been thoroughly vetted, or rather has not been thoroughly vetted, and there's a big, long description of Citizens Against Government Waste is a good definition of it. But in Hartford today, earmarks, those are the bonds. Those are the bond projects you see out there. Whether it's $3.5 million for a water park, or $500,000 for a golf course, or $125,000 for a skateboard park. We got a lot of earmarks in Hartford, and they're going under the name of bonds these days. Bond projects.
Final follow-up for me, pop quiz. George W. Bush, our last president, proposed a marriage amendment to the Constitution. Is that a conservative principle or a liberal one?
Well, it's the federal government involving itself in marriage, so it's a liberal one. I believe that these issues ought to be handled at the state level.
All right. Thank you very much for participating this evening.
Thank you.